Good to sort of see everybody, I guess, but we'll get started for sure. Yesterday, or last night, I would say, I was really proud of the effort of the guys, and I thought, well, that's some coach cliche, but I think 15 weeks out, we said there was going to be a lot of moving parts, and it happened again this week. We had some guys who were out with COVID, including some coaches, so to have Adden and Malik and Tristan and Jay Lou, when those things happen, like I said, it is coaching cliche that you get stronger from those moments where other guys have different trust opportunities to go and do it. But it's also very true. And certainly for a guy like AB to move inside to play nickel and Kelvin to move outside and get his first start outside, there's a lot of talk, obviously, and there should be on 7 and 11 and 90 and 94, and it definitely should be. But I'm also especially proud of guys like Keanu and JK and Anthony Brown who moved inside and Kelvin. So in this game, that's one of the things I was happy about, to move guys into different spots and have those moments come through in that spot. And that would be a guy like Anthony who went inside. So, but past that, lots to talk about. So I'll let you guys rip it with some questions.
Dan, could you go ahead and start with just the level of athletic difficulty on that DeMarcus Lawrence play and describe that play and just how often you've seen that sort of play and just how difficult it is to pull off like you did?
Well, I thought there was one, just having the ability to catch, and make people miss on space. If you go back and watch it and you see how hard guys are battling to help him get in the end zone, I think Donovan was one and Randy was another. I think that kind of speaks to, the level that they'll go to for their guys. I thought that was like a real example of brotherhood that we talk about, but on Dono, on that particular one, of him getting down, he got just enough, I thought, of the center to give Law a chance to make a move on the quarterback to go, because if he doesn't get there, the center probably knocks him out of bounds just where it was. But it was a fantastic play. I was so excited up in the press box and just yelling for him how excited I was. But I guess in a couple of weeks to see 2 D linemen show their hands and get in the end zone with Carlos and then with DeMarcus, we were all really fired up for him.
I'm surprised with you that they went after Trayvon on the opening play, and just how he did it in that matchup against other teams.
I don't know. That's certainly a question for another team's press conference. But what I would say, we knew coming in they were going to take shots, and that's part of their game plan to go. So when those moments happen, whether you block it up and they have a side that they want to go to, that happens some. But what is so damn impressive is the way Trey can track it. And there was a spot there where he went from being the defender to being the receiver. And not everybody has that trait, but he certainly does. And so to have that play happen at the end, and no more excited to see Aiden and his celebration for his dad and how cool that was too. So I would say I don't know why you pick and choose. I mean, that's ball. You got to go and take your shots. But I think the most impressive part was the way he tracked it and then really transitioned to where he was going to get the pass.
You mentioned last week some of the plays that might not show up on stats as obviously, but make an impact. There's a play in the Washington second series where Micah hits the quarterback and Trayvon swats the pass. It's not an interception, it's not a sack. But can you talk about what you like on how the rush and coverage was working together on plays like that?
Yeah, when those moments happen, then you really feel like the team connection. It's not just on a pass play. It can be as on a simple run play. There was a good example early in a run play with Chauncey Golson really set the edge on the tight end coming across, and Kiki came, and I thought his contact and the hit. So it can be in a run, it can be in a pass, but when you see our guys working in sync together, I think that's a really big deal. And one of the things that we would say is, hey, I'll do my job so you can do yours. And those two, the examples you're pointing out on the pass with Micah and Trey is an example just like it was in the run game with Chauncey and Keanu. If you know your guy is going to be in your spot and you force a ball to go a certain way, it allows you to play faster and more aggressive because you know your guy is going to be in the right spot. And I think those two plays probably illustrate that as well as any others.
Dan, starting this week, teams needing coaches can start interviewing candidates, and I'm sure your name's going to be up on this list. You've gone through it before when you're in Seattle. How do you anticipate handling that, and what do you what do you think of the change where teams can now talk to coaches in with regular season games to go?
Yeah, I think the league's trying to do a good job to make sure there's access for people, and I hope one day in the future what is even more challenging is when a team decides to hire a coach during a long playoff run and they're having to wait till the end of the year. So I'm hopeful that one day we can change that rule as well. I went through it firsthand in 2014 when I was at Seattle, and you don't get named till after, but there was pretty good chance I was going there. And Kyle Shanahan had a similar experience in 16 at Atlanta going to San Francisco. So as far as your question goes, I think it's good, for the league to get access to people when, there's time to do it. And the people that are getting, called to ask, these are, people they want to get more familiar with. So I think it's a good thing. But I'm hopeful that we even take it a step further in a few years to say when the time is right, I know we do it in some other leagues, to hire somebody that they're able to do that. But like all things, I think, progress is sometimes little steps at a time. And I think this would be, one that's better for the NFL if it's our first year trying it, and we'll see where it goes, but I think it's a good start.
Dan, just your thoughts on wanting a second opportunity. I mean, obviously, you're focused on the Cowboys job, as you've said repeatedly, but just your thoughts on this is the time where teams can come after you now.
Right. I think, for me coming here, I wasn't, coming here to look what my next job would be. I wanted to come in here and have a blast and hopefully kick ass and, make an impact that we can. And I don't know if you saw me in the press box last night, like I was having a hell of a good time. When you see a guy like DeMarcus score, that's what I love about coaching. So if those moments come, I'll be ready for them if the right scenario came about. But honestly, I'm having a blast being, right here with this crew and going for it. So that's where my mind is. That's where my heart is. I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about down the road of what's next. I just really like being in the moment with the guys. So nothing to report on my end in that space. And like I said, I'm having a blast doing what I'm doing.
Along those lines, when you're a head coach, there's a lot of administrative components that come with that job. This season for you, how much of it has been just kind of getting back to coaching in its purest sense, and what's that been like as an experience for you?
One, you nailed, that is a big piece of the head coaching role, where you're kind of setting the course and the schedule for everybody. And one of your top jobs as a head coach is obviously coaching all the coaches too, to make sure the message gets down from them to the players. So for me, kind of getting back, like you just said, of being in the meeting rooms, getting in the teaching, being out on the field, getting to do individual with the guys, it's been a blast. And so I definitely have enjoyed it. I really wanted to make sure, coming into this year, when you get let go, some of the joy is gone. You put your heart and soul into it, and it doesn't work out. And so by me coming here and being a part of this, I've recaptured a lot of that, what I love about coaching and all the energy that it goes into it. And so my wife Stacey and I were having a blast here to do it. But you're right, to get back to the level of coaching and connection with the guys, it's been all that I'd hoped it would be here. That it?
Scott, any other question?
He's gone, Scott.
Mike, Matilda?
Yeah, Dan, I just wanted to get your take on what you thought of Calvin Joseph stepping into that bigger role and just how he played in the game yesterday.
One, I thought he played with a lot of confidence, and I knew that he would. I thought he'd play well. He's been preparing well in practice, so you have a good chance when that comes to come up. But what I did like was at the line of scrimmage, and I think you guys probably saw that too, where he could really get his hands on somebody and lock him out. I thought he had a couple good tackles. In fact, one on a TFL, I think, on one of the swing screens. But for his first moment, it was exciting to see him get in and do all the things that he's been working on. And sometimes when you're not playing a lot, it can get frustrating, because you're waiting for your moment, you're waiting for your chance, and he's been playing well on special teams. So I think it goes to show, when you put the work in, and there's going to be a time, for everybody on this roster. And I think no bigger example this year than our defense of how many people have played. When your number's called and you deliver, there's a lot of trust and a lot of confidence that gets that comes out of that. And I thought he was the next example of a guy who's, when your number's called and you deliver, gives a lot of confidence, because there's going to be another opportunity, moving forward when these things happen. And I thought he really nailed it.
Dan, while we're on the subject of Kelvin, does he have anything in his skill set that is unique or different enough from AB and Jordan that, based on what you saw yesterday, you would feel any compulsion going forward to find a way to get him on the field more?
There's a lot of guys who fall under that space of finding more, and they're at DB, they're at linebacker, they're at defensive line. But I think what it went to go and show Brad inside how strong he played on the line of scrimmage against certain guys, where he could really get his hands on and lock you out. And not everybody plays in that style. So I would imagine there'll be some players, when we're talking about a matchup and who do you want to feature a player on, now you have some ways to do that. Hey, this is a guy that you want to stay on, then he's got the strength to do that.
Coach, you talked about guys waiting for their turn here. When you've got so much talent there and some of it in reserve roles, how do you go about trying to foster competition at these position groups while also making sure that there's not discontent with their role?
Yeah, and that is a fine line, Bobby. And the way that we try to think through it, there's about 18 or 19 starters, that are here. And I said, well, Dan, that doesn't make sense. There's only 11 that play. But I think there's enough significant roles of safeties and linebackers and pass rushers to run guys to go into those. And so it's not always easy, I'll be honest with you, to make sure these are really competitive guys who want to go put out and show to others, hey, man, you can count on me when this job is up. And so each game's a little bit different. Sometimes you see some play time more in one game versus another based on a style of an offense or how they deploy, 3 or 4 receiver sets or even less. And so that's kind of the fun part of the game planning, because not every single week is exactly the same. But it's definitely a challenge. But I think months ago, we had a good discussion about going from selfish to selfless. And that's not an easy thing to do. But at the end, when everybody's playing well and you got all this whole crew going and they're really busting their ass and putting out for one another, that helps. But yes, it's definitely a tricky moment that you have to work through. But fortunately for us, because of the connection of them and the team, they're able to work through it, and we are too.
And kind of following up or going along that same line, even a little bit more, as you get closer to the playoffs, and I understand you have particular matchups, but
yep.
Do you, in general, tighten the rotation? Do you keep it the same as it kind of developed over the course of the season, or what approach do you take when you get this close to the postseason going in?
Yeah, and I think honestly, right now where we're going, we just getting some guys who are back and getting some more playing time. And like, for instance, a guy like Kellen Moore, let's keep him playing. He didn't have a lot of playing time in D-Law to get him playing. So as we get over the next couple weeks, I think it's an important part to get guys in their rotation, get their feeling good. And it'd be nice if we could get all of us going together to get more time, but sometimes that's how it works out due to injuries and otherwise, talking about like Jordan and Malik and Tristan out in the last few. So just finding that time together where it's a look, it's a hand signal, those are the things that you need to continue to work on as a group, because when you're playing out on the field, it's not all just according, hey, this is what the playbook says, and that's how that communication, hey, let's in and out this player, this is a pass call, what's the signal, how do we go? So I think the more time the guys get together, that's as important, David, as anything, because the matchups will kind of take care of themselves depending on who we're playing and how they want to play. But what you can't really replicate is the time and the effort together to make sure they go. And I think that's why on this particular group, when we had guys on IR or guys who weren't out and they were still a big part of the meetings, to keep their focus to do that, I think it allowed them to get back into the mix faster, David. So a guy like Law, who was out 6 or 8 weeks, or Neville, who was even longer. And so they were in the meetings. They were in it. They didn't, just step away and do the rehab and then step back into the moment. But by being in there, I can just still, I remember I was just going through a cut up earlier today to watch I think it was Arizona in the preseason. I see DeMarcus with his pants on and a jersey, and knowing that he wasn't playing in that game. But it just kind of showed, like, it reminded me, I guess, of like how far everybody's in for one another, you know, coaching guys on the sideline, even when you're not in. And I think that goes, you know, to the talk of his leadership and others on the team as well. But long answer for you. But I think at the end of the day, having this many guys back in the rooms and back in it allows that connection to happen faster. But it still comes down to like on the job training. You have to do it out at practice. You have to be on the grass. And then in the game is where the most happens. It's loud as hell. Our crowd was ripping last night. So, you know, how do you communicate non-verbally when calls come in? And those are the things that you can't replicate because not only was it loud last night, I hope it gets even louder in the weeks ahead. But last night you could feel the energy from the crowd, and working in that environment is a big piece of it.
When the ball goes up, do you automatically now assume that Trayvon's going to come down with some cover guys before
Yes.
the ball with like Trayvon since 1981?
Yeah, I would say I think that a lot when it does go up to his direction, because say, okay, we got a shot here, and then he'll constantly impress me with some ones that I didn't think that were there, and he had, you know, chances to go get it. But when it's 50-50, I don't think of it as 50-50 when the ball goes up, you know, with him in a one-on-one, truly one-on-one scenario.
On a similar note, obviously Trayvon's got those instincts, but when you see that, how much of his film study do you think plays into when he's able to track the route like he did on the first play yesterday, and then just, well, I'll have a follow-up after.
Okay. Well, I think the film study, a lot goes into that because, quite honestly, when you're an outside player, it's not all the formations, Jory. So sometimes it's a release. Sometimes it's where the receiver is on a split. You know, like oftentimes we use the numbers as a landmark, inside the numbers, outside the numbers. Where is he? And so those things can sometimes tell. There's also some different depths that somebody may do a double move, or are their routes timed, or what's his release like? And so as a corner, you can really dig in. I think like corners and pass rushers, they can really study the player or players that they're going against a lot, where some other positions like a safety, formations and alerts and formations and alert, and a middle linebacker. But out on the edges at corners and pass rushers at defensive ends, I think you can gain a lot from the player. What's his stance? What's his release for the offensive lineman? Where does his hands go? So those are big pieces, I think. And the film study, I would say, for him, it's a big part of it.
Absolutely. And you mentioned how fun it was to see Aiden celebrating for Trayvon. How much did you talk to Trayvon about that? And I guess what's it been like for you to witness the dynamic?
I think, one, we know that there's some definite stars with Trey and with Steph, but there's another star in that house, and he may not have his time for a few more years, but seeing like that kind of enthusiasm and love, you know, it's really cool to see. And so when he gets so excited, it's just a really cool thing. So my wife had in fact showed me when he got, you know, just jumping up and down, excited. So just seeing that for your parent, I think it's kind of a cool thing to see.
Hey guys, one more question, please.
Dan, if you can take us back to when you were in Atlanta and evaluating Trayvon, and did it ever come up like, hey, his brother's a pretty good player, not that that guarantees that he will be a player in the league, but what did you guys think of the brother dynamic when you guys were looking at him?
Well, you know, because they didn't play the same position, Todd, that's a little different. Sometimes it's easier to say, okay, he was a receiver or a defensive end, or thinking like the Watts, you know, okay, older brother bigger, this guy's different. And I think sometimes you have to be careful in those moments to make sure, there's that sun again, I like it, right in my face. I think you have to be really careful not to put somebody, he's just like that. And so one thing you did know is they both had the same competitive fire and drive and insight to go. And we knew that from Stephon years ago. We had actually recruited him when I was at the University of Florida, and Trey came on the visits with him as a young one. And so when we knew we were looking at him, you knew all the competitive stuff and the ball skills were there, and you just had a sense when he got into the NFL with these kind of ball skills, it would translate. And sometimes you hear, you know, coaches or scouts use that word. Why does it translate? Because his ball skills were rare. And in the NFL, if you have rare things and you can, you know, utilize those rare traits, there's a chance that you got some big production. And he's delivered on those.
Guys, we're going to have to wrap this up.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Last one, Scott, or no?
Yeah, one more. Go ahead. It better be a good one. I mean, if it's not, we're going to dock you. And next week, you do not get a follow-up.
I'm going to try. Just the challenges that Colin Murray presents to you this week. Obviously, he's a different type of quarterback from what you've seen previous 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, and well, I think the first thing goes is the extension of plays, that you talk about when you're facing a quarterback with his escape ability. You're really defending 2 plays. So, Calvin, the first one may start in a regular drop back, and then the second one, if he wants to, get outside, and we call the word plaster, where you have to, turn it into man-to-man on those moments. But that's the first thing. And then I think knowing that he can rip the ball from any part on the field, not only do you have to defend it horizontally, you have to defend it vertically as well. And those are usually the most challenging people. Sometimes you can say, hey, they're going to work to this side of the field or this side of the formation, or there's an alert that goes. But when you're alive at any part of the field, then I think that presents more challenges than most. So we face other good quarterbacks this year, and we'll face some more to go. But he's definitely has some unique things based on his ability to create plays on the run. So tough competitor for sure. You can feel that. He's takes the hit, gets back up, gets into it, and he always seems to be have his team in the fight. All right, your question was worthy. We'll give you another one next week, Calvin. All right, you guys have a good one. See you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Miss you guys. Good setup.
Afternoon, Kellen. And you talked about offensively what you were able to do yesterday, and does it help playing at home to kind of get back into a rhythm and a tempo that you've been missing, and how does that potentially carry over?
I say our guys have had really a couple of good weeks of practice. Obviously, getting guys back that are spend time together, invest in each other as far as practice and all the meeting times. I thought that was huge the last few weeks. Obviously, playing at home, we love playing at home. I think certainly playing at home is an advantage. AT&T, it's fast. You can play fast. I thought our guys got in rhythm and just played really, really well.
Dak and Zeke said they felt better than they have all season. Did you see that? And did they have any role in your game plan? Dak said he felt quicker certainly was taking off running the ball, but rolling out, passing the ball, he certainly looked like he did earlier.
I definitely felt like our guys played fast. Probably a combination of, I think, just the schedule, guys being fresher on Sunday, being ready to play. I thought our guys have a nice balance of, want to make sure they're fresh. Maybe Wednesdays aren't as fast. We aren't going as full speed as we used to this late in the season, but our guys are still finding ways to get the preparation, get the work in, and be ready to launch and get after it on Sunday. And so I think, Zeke was dealing with some things that he was banged up with. It just seems like he keeps getting better each and every week. And so I think we're really excited with where we're going.
What did you like about the decision to use so much no huddle yesterday? And when you get into these playoff matchups, how do you dictate when you want to use that up front?
Love no huddle. I think it's obviously one of our strengths as an offense. I think we do a tremendous job with it. Our guys are really comfortable with it. Guys, that's how they were wired coming from college. They're kind of used to being in no huddle formats. So, I think we pick and choose our times. Obviously, felt like there was a lot of great opportunities to go with this particular game plan, and we'll continue to use it as much as we can. I think there's different times of the game based off the flow of a game. Sometimes you do want to huddle it, control maybe a little bit of clock, some tempo, whatever it may be. Maybe the defense has been on the field a lot. There's always different variables, but I think as much as we can, we like to get in and out of tempo and use it whenever we can.
Amari, talking to us last week, expressed some frustration, just wanting to get the ball. Obviously, they all want the ball. Was there a concerted effort on your part to give him more opportunities than in previous games, or that's just the way it went?
I think certainly it's the way it went. Obviously, we love getting the ball to Amari as much as we can. Felt like there were some great opportunities in this particular game. Amari did a great job of, especially early in the game, just being available, being open, doing a great job of getting his depth on particular routes. And so I felt like we did a great job getting in a rhythm there. And, I think you always have to be careful of trying to narrow the focus for the quarterback into one particular guy. We feel fortunate to have other guys. Hey, they all want the ball. I get it. We want to get them all the ball. It's just a matter of opportunities, and there's only so many in a particular game. And so, this is the ebbs and flows of a season. There's going to be other guys that are going to get opportunities in different games, but you always want them wanting the ball. That's a definite positive.
As a quarterback in college and the pros, I'm sure guys always come to you saying, I need the ball, I need the ball. How do you handle that now as a coordinator when guys say, hey, I think this works for me right now?
No, I get it. I think the biggest thing is we just talk through the process. I think Amari's great. We love that all of our guys want the football. That's the most important aspect. We want guys who want the football. And so as the week goes, we have a great week of practice. We make sure we spend the time together on the practice field. I thought that's an important part of this thing. When guys practice really well during the week, usually things come out the same way on Sundays. And so I think our whole offense does a great job of just working together. You're going to go through bumps and different changes throughout the season, and you got to navigate those things. And I think our guys have done a nice job with that.
Can you define a little bit more detailedly, if that's a word, a fastball offense and what exactly it entails, and I'm sure it goes far beyond simply not huddling. And along those lines, when the defense has played like it has over this past period, does that give you more license to be more aggressive with your tempo in terms of pushing the pace?
I just say every game's got its different flow. Sometimes you do want to, there's times to bleed the clock a little bit and grind it out, and there's times to pick up the pace. And I think you're always trying to balance out those different things. And so, we love getting into our tempos. We got different variations, but essentially fastball is kind of our standard no huddle. You can go as fast as you want. You can go as slow as you want. And I think that's our biggest point is we dictate the tempo within that. If we got to take it all the way down towards the end of the play clock to get to a particular play, get to the right play, maybe Dak wants to use his cadence a little bit to try and see if we can get a free play. We had 2 of those in this game. We want to utilize that. It's different than a 2-minute huddle. 2-minute, you're trying to go as fast as possible, save as much time as you can. This thing is about just executing football plays. If we can go fast, we go fast. After a few plays, if we need to slow it down a little bit, we'll slow it down. And I think our guys are really comfortable in that. Dak's certainly really comfortable in that. We can communicate really well with the headset. And so, I feel really good in that space.
Kellen, you were able to get Terrence Steele a touchdown yesterday. After the game, Zach Martin said that you've been trying the last couple of weeks to get an offensive lineman a touchdown. I'm sure he was probably joking, but what does that do? Or actually, not even that. When you do something like that, is it because of something you're seeing from opposing defenses that makes you like, hey, we could probably get this to go because there's so many other things that other teams are worried about right now?
I'd say we like the creativity aspect, and we always want to get guys involved. We've had different ones in throughout the season. That particular one we put in based off of their look on the goal line, and so it was one that just showed up this week. But we've been working different ones throughout the season for various guys, depending on a defensive structure. And that one we felt really, really good about. If we got down in that situation, that we'd have a chance for it. And it wasn't Mac, it was Terrence, and we loved it.
Kellen, it looked like you had Dak under center a lot more yesterday than you had, especially at the beginning of the game. How did that play into establishing rhythm and playing the way you wanted to? What was the reason?
The under center, I think, is just trying to create a little bit of balance under center. Obviously, you're always going to run the ball a little bit more when you're under center and throw the ball a little bit more when you're in the shotgun. But I think when you have opportunities on early downs to be under center and you feel comfortable with it, being able to get completions in that way is going to help out, statistically your numbers when you look at it from a self-scout standpoint and what other teams are going to be looking at from when they study us. And so, we stole a few in there. I thought it was good. It was comfortable plays that we've repped a million times, get completions and keep moving.
Hey, Kellen, last week you talked about thinking that defenses were trying to test y'all's patience. Most of your touchdown drives in the first half were 8 to 12 plays. Just curious what you thought about that element of the game yesterday.
I feel like that's a general theme in the NFL right now. I think you got to grind some drives out. I thought our guys did a really good job of just staying efficient. We're winning first and second down. When you win first and second down, obviously things handle themselves. When you're in the third and longs, obviously you put yourself in challenging situations. I just felt like our guys stayed on track the entire game in a lot of those drives, and they're really efficient. You can feel the flow of it. The guys felt comfortable in it, and we just kept rolling.
Kellen, now that the NFL has changed its rules and tomorrow opens a window with clubs with another interest for a head coach to be able to reach out, if you do receive interest, how will you handle that over the course of the week, and how will it impact or not impact? I'm sure you thought about it, just breaking down what your obligations are to the team and how you would also pursue that opportunity if it arises.
Yeah, obviously if the opportunity shows up, that'd be awesome, but we got to take care of this thing first. We got to make sure we're still rolling, and this is obviously focus number one. We got to put everything into this thing, and we got a great opportunity ahead of ourselves. And as this thing goes, we'll see where it takes us. But the sole real focus right now is Arizona. Have some fun doing this thing. This is a great opportunity for us against a good team, and we'll see what comes down the line.
I know Dax told us he's been healthy for a while since that calf injury, but was there any lag, even if he was healthy, in getting the footwork back to where he wanted to be? And if so, where do you think he's at now, and how have y'all worked on that?
I just think it's investing in time. Anytime you have a middle of the season injury, you're going to have 1-2 practices during a week, and we've had some receivers in and out. So I think it's just investing and spending time together, working through that process. And I think Dax obviously been taking the steps. I think the last few weeks, we haven't had these big scoring games, but I think he's done a nice job, and he's gotten better each week. And I thought this one was a really good opportunity that he took advantage of.
On Terrence's touchdown, when the ball, what's your mindset? Is your heart in your throat a little bit here when it's going to it? Like, you hoping for the right look? What are you thinking when you call this play?
Pretty convinced it was going to be a touchdown, to be honest. We felt really, really comfortable with that play. Their particular look, we ran essentially a run play off the same presentation at Washington a few weeks ago. Felt like the look gave us an opportunity to throw it to that particular guy. Felt like if we put Terrence there, they'd spend even less time focused on that guy from a pass coverage standpoint. And Terrence goofs around all the time out there in a walkthrough setting, throwing the football, catching it. He's kind of a pretty sneaky good athlete. We felt really comfortable with it. He had a little stumble. That was probably the only little hesitancy for us, but those guys felt pretty comfortable with it.
You've had so many different guys score for you offensively. What do you attribute a lot of that to?
I certainly say depth. We got a lot of good football players that we feel really good about, and so I think Dak does a great job distributing the ball, getting it to different guys. All of our running backs involved, tight ends, receivers, linemen with the catch, and so I think that's important. That's how we want to play on offense, is be able to play with a lot of versatility. Or you can't narrow your focus into one particular guy or two particular guys. We got a lot of diverse players on the field that can do a lot of good things, and so we want to use them all.
After Wednesday practices, Dak and his receivers have been going a little more full speed type work just to work on their timing. Is that something that was a coach-driven initiative, or did the players themselves say, "Hey, let's do this"? Or what have you made of that work the past couple weeks?
Just say our guys do a great job of just, Wednesdays we've slowed down the tempo a little bit as a team, but still finding ways to get through the preparation aspect of that. And I think our guys really embrace that opportunity to spend some extra time together, whether it's Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, whatever day they need. If they need a little extra work, grab it, and let's get comfortable with what we're going to do on Sundays. And our guys are doing a great job with it.
Sorry, Kellen. You rediscovered Schultz the last 2 weeks. There was a real disparity in his catches, at least, from the first 6 games to the next 7 games. What's happened in the last 2 weeks? Has that been by design?
I think, naturally, I don't think we're consciously trying to throw it to a particular player. Again, similar to Amari, I think, we're doing a great job of distributing the ball on first and second down. Tight ends on first and second down, I think, are nice, easy completions. And usually they're a little bit quicker passes, little stick routes and whatnot. But Dalton's had a few of those. He catches it, gets upfield, gets 8-10 yards, and we're on our way. And he had the nice play action down near the red zone for a touchdown. Did a great job of kind of selling the run action there. Did a great job, and so he's done a really nice job the last 2 weeks.
Would you go ahead, Jory?
Kellen, some of the guys on offense were joking after DeMarcus's touchdown that they'd love to get him involved in a package. Would you consider that on his touchdown return?
This feels like DeMarcus is selling this through you. There's a number of defensive guys that are trying to get on the offensive opportunities here. So, we'll see. You never know.
Sean?
All right, well, to keep it on the defense, playing some offense theme, the quarterback seems to be pretty good at tracking the ball. You have some pretty good receivers, but how about getting Trayvon involved a little bit?
Trayvon's been selling. Mike has been selling. CJ actually played receiver back in the day, so there's plenty. Yeah, Leighton thinks he can go back to his 8-man football and play some offense again. So we'll see.
Michael, if you want to finish it up here, it's yours. If not, we can end it.
We can end it. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Thanks,
guys.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kellen.
Hey, everybody.
Good evening, John. You can just start us off with the blocked punt and recovery for the touchdown. Just take us through that play.
That was an interesting one. I don't want to give away too much, but I will say this. What Corey Clement saw and felt the punt return reps earlier in that game, he kind of had an idea to do something, and it was very sound, and we kind of just said, go for it. So he made a great play. What a couple other guys did on that play, that's really cool that nobody will be able to see on tape or on TV with some of the words and actions and hand signals. It's just fascinating football to see all the gamesmanship that goes on for one guy to get a block. I'd love to talk more about it, but just a couple guys did a couple great things, and then Corey made the play. And it really came down to Corey's idea, really, on the sideline earlier in the game. Just fascinating football and just great instinctive football players.
Even if you can't tell us exactly what he said, take us through, I guess, what that how you go about having a conversation like that when a player has an idea mid-game, and how you try and create a culture where your guys are coming to you with ideas. Yeah,
that's a great question. In training camp, I came up with a list of 5 things for us in practice what I want our mindset to be. And the 4th one on that list is tell me if you have an idea. As simple as that. And so I've always encouraged our guys from back in the very first day of training camp to anytime you guys see something, hear something, feel something, come on and tell me what it is, and we'll probably use it. And if we don't, then I'll kind of tell you why. But you guys, I want you to have a ton of ownership in this. And honestly, over my career, a lot of the best things that have happened has been players' ideas. That's a fact. And so as I've continued to learn as a coach, listen to these guys, especially the veteran ones that are really smart football players. Listen to them because they got some really good ideas.
Brian Anger being named to the Pro Bowl, you've stumped for him since he got here. What are your thoughts on him being honored for the first time in his career?
Man, I was so excited. Just, I just keep going back to I worked him out coming out, draft 2012. And I just remember our day out there in California on a private workout, and obviously didn't get a coach until now, his 10th year. But just have always followed his career and has really admired his production without really knowing his work ethic or process. And then now being a part of that and just seeing what he does weekly, I'm just so proud of him, man, and I'm so happy for him. And our punt team was very happy for him when we had our little walkthrough on last Thursday. I mean, the guys on the team, the guys protecting for him and covering for him were thrilled for him because they know what he puts into it. And so, I mean, just a great day for a coach to witness a guy who's been at it a long time, get recognized by really his peers for the first time. It's awesome, man.
Kelvin Joseph spent a lot of time with you before, got some extensive time on defense. How have you seen him grow in the last couple of weeks, especially being with you guys on special teams?
Yeah, we talked about him a couple of times in the past where he's been kind of, he's quiet, but then when practice shows up, meetings show up, and games show up, he produces. He's been prepared every game. He always shows up, and that's what we talk about in the special teams room. You guys are here to do this special teams job until your job changes, which happens a lot of times. And Fat got his opportunity on defense. We took him off all special teams, so you didn't see him any special teams. We had Nashon back up that just, boom, he fell right in for Fat. And from my account, it looked like Kelvin Joseph did a very admirable job. And after the game, gave him a big hug and said, hell yeah, man. Way to get it done over there on defense. And if you stay there, great. If you come on back, you're back in it. So I'm just happy for him to have found a role early and see it, progress into something else when needed. And we needed that yesterday.
What's the best player idea that you've received and applied over the course of your career? And I don't know if you're able to use one from your Cowboys tenure, be it last year or this year, but what comes to mind there?
It's a great question. How can I say this? Because we did something in 2016 that was pretty awesome. You probably won't be able to see it on the tape because pretty hidden, and we have it alive right now. So that's why I can't really go into it. But yeah, sorry. That's I can't really go into it because it's actually still alive for us right now. And it's been 5 seasons since that's happened. But I guess if it ever happens, I'll let you know that's what it was. How about that?
Can you say what phase it is or no?
Nah.
Okay.
Sorry, but if it ever happens, which is unlikely but always possible, I'll let you know that's what it is, because then it won't be able to happen for a while again. Cool backgrounds over there, everybody.
Hey guys.
Got Santa Claus. I got the green trees in the background.
John, we talk a lot about complementary football, and Mike talks about how important that is. When all three phases are scoring and your special teams is contributing, and there's so few opportunities for you, how much pride do you take in that, and what does it mean for your unit? Yeah,
it's awesome. I mean, you take 25 snaps a game on special teams, and if you block one punt, you score a touchdown off it, you kind of, that's good. That's, you don't have a lot of opportunities, so if you strike gold on one of them, that's kind of a game for you, as long as everything else is pretty sound. But we did a stat last year, Jory, where if a team scored a touchdown on offense, defense, and special teams over the last 10 years, I think it was, the team's record is like 23-1 or 23-2 or something like that. Maybe I'll get the stats for you. I wasn't prepared for that, but it was something like that, like 23 wins, 2 losses when a team scores on all 3 phases. I should probably bring that up to the team again this week, because we did mention that last year. But yeah, there's a lot of pride for everybody when everybody has a big hand in a big win.
Anybody else? Michael? No? We all good with Coach Fassel?
I've got one last one.
All right.
With Matt out throughout the week, how did that process go in terms of shifting the responsibilities? And you talked about calling on CJ Moore. How did he step up?
Yeah, no, thanks for asking that again. He stepped up big time. So we had, a walkthrough last Wednesday, Thursday. We had some virtual meetings, and he was a big part in, basically we kind of put together a tape for him and put it in, and he kind of ran it. And then on the sidelines yesterday, with Darian Thompson and CJ kind of helping out. And then yesterday, honestly, we had a lot of coaches step up. I mean, Todd Williams was a great help yesterday on the sideline. So everybody was a contributor. I mean, talking about players, but also everybody steps up, and it's a great feeling to be a part of a staff where I constantly got asked, hey, can I help you out? You need here. One of our quality control coaches helped run some scout team cards at practice, Eric Simonelli. So all hands were on deck, and it just feels like that's the way it's going to be the rest of the season. So it's good that everybody jump in and do everything. It's kind of like back when I was coaching Division II college. We did the laundry, we drove the bus, we taught some classes, we coached some football, and it's kind of the same feeling right now. Is hey, everybody here, help me out here, draw this card, and run this over here. And to me, that's the best part of coaching football, is kind of just throwing your hands in everything and hoping you don't screw anything up too bad.
We'll finish up with Michael.
Late in the game, when all the coaches are kind of scaling back some players, just reps and just resting guys, how does that affect special teams and who's out there? And when you're without Matt, what was that like navigating the final 15, 18 minutes of that game?
Yeah, man, you guys are pros. That's so observant, Michael, for real. It felt like a preseason game, because you start taking some offense and defensive guys off the field. That means the special teams guys are now playing special teams and offense and defense. And about the last quarter and a half, for sure the last quarter, I'm looking at the clock like, tick, 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 run this thing down and let's get out of here, because our guys were pretty strained, honestly, in the fourth quarter, just to cover punts, kick off, all the things that they do, but also get some work on offense and defense. But they want it. But you also don't want, a guy to get nicked up late in the game and be like, oh, dang, man, miss him for the next game. So I think we came out pretty clean, but it felt like a preseason game, to answer your question, where you're just scrambling to get bodies on there. The schematics are kind of kaput at that time. Let's just make sure we got 11 on the field. We're sound. we get the football back, no penalties, and so I think the guys did a really good job of sucking it up and getting it done.
Well, I think we're good for today.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.